Okay, so Tyler Oakley, Miranda Sings, Just Kidding Films, David Parody. By a show of hands, how many of you recognize any of the names I just mentioned? So all of those people are all YouTubers who have made their livings and achieved all their dreams from this, a camera. This is an object that represents the YouTube culture because YouTube is nothing without this, and their careers would be nothing without this, a camera. It all started from this piece of technology. Learning about YouTube will give you a better understanding about this culture and how it's starting to change entertainment. It's becoming bigger and bigger, and as it grows, it's becoming a bigger part of our society as well. First, I'll go over the history of YouTube and also where it is now, and then I'll talk about how I identify with the culture. So, most big successful things start with a huge dream, right? Something that you want to do when you were growing up or something. YouTube actually started because 3 PayPal workers really wanted to see Janet Jackson's boob exposure from the 2004 Super Bowl. So instead of them being like, yeah, I want to create this huge website, they really just wanted to see Janet Jackson. And they couldn't find the video on the internet, so they were like, let's just make our own website for it. So that's how YouTube started. YouTube started with one video called Me at the Zoo, which was one of the founders at the zoo. And from there, it started getting bigger and bigger. People wanted to be a part of this community. They wanted to post their own videos. And the website became more popular, and they gained endorsements. And then with time, they were big enough to go public in December of 2005. The views went up, and then videos started going viral, with the first being Star Wars Kid, Charlie Bit My Finger, and Chocolate Rain, if you guys have heard of any of those. Then it became so big that Google, of course, wanted to jump on the bandwagon, and they bought YouTube on November 13th, 2006. People grew because the website was growing as well, and then YouTube created the YouTube Partnership Program, where big YouTubers who had a really big following and fan base could actually make money off of their videos and off of their views. That happened in March 2007, and it was only brought out to exclusive YouTubers. But then in April 12th of 2012, they decided, let's make this available for anybody who wants to be a YouTuber or wants to make their living off of this. So now if you go onto YouTube and you don't even have a video, you can apply to make money off of your videos. And honestly, if you try, you'll probably make like a good 2 cents off of your first video. But it's not about where you start, it's about where you end up. And people grow in YouTube because they grow with this culture. In fact, the most subscribed YouTuber of all time right now is a guy named PewDiePie, if you guys have heard of him. He's really famous for his gaming videos and his occasional tags and challenges. And as of April 2nd, 2016, PewDiePie has over 43 million subscribers. So he's a full-time YouTuber from Sweden, and by that, it means that his entire income is off of YouTube. He doesn't have a job. He just plays video games and videotapes himself and then posts them on this website. And he made $7.9 million in 2014. So that's the goal right there, guys. Play video games for a living and make millions of dollars. He's a great example of a person who put themselves out there on YouTube, starting with a camera, and became a huge part of this culture. Now that I talked about the history of YouTube, I'll go with how I identify and how it all started. So over 6 years ago, I was sitting down in my parents' bedroom, and my brother walked up and placed the laptop in front of my face and said, "Press play." I pressed play, and it ended up being How to Be a Ninja by Ryan Higa, if you guys have ever watched that. And now it's come to a point where I watch YouTube more than television, and it's my main source of entertainment. Over these 6 years, YouTube has become such a big part of my life that I don't know what I would do without it. Like, how would I spend my midnight to 2 a.m., sessions, trying to rethink my life? Like, how would I do that without YouTube? And then, since it became such a huge part of my life, watching and commenting wasn't enough to satisfy what I wanted to do for this culture. So I actually ended up drifting to friends who had their own YouTube channels, and they motivated me to make my own YouTube channel as well. So I have a YouTube channel, and I take the time out of my weeks to make YouTube videos. I take an hour to film, and then it can take 4 to 6 hours to edit. And even though it's really stressful and it's really long, it's so much fun, and I can't imagine not being a part of this culture. So YouTube would be absolutely nothing without this camera right here, which is surprising. And it's a huge part of society and entertainment today. I hope you gained some understanding of how big this culture is and where it's going to be at in a few years. First, I talked about the history of YouTube and where it is now, and then I talked about how I identify with the culture. So next time I mention the names Tyler Oakley, Miranda Sings, Just Kidding Films, or David Parody, I hope you reply along the lines of I've subscribed. Thank you.